Hi, I'm Melissa.
Darlene.
We're from Low Hair Studio.
I love TV 18.
And we love life around the lake.
I'm Police Chief Scott Walker with Lake of the Woods Security. Today I'd like to just take a brief moment and describe the back gate operations. This is a members-only gate, but we do see several vendors and guests following GPS coordinates that bring them to this location. A good reminder for guests, if you live in this back gate area of the community, is use 102 Lakeview, the Holcomb Building address, to get your guests and your vendors, contractors out onto the Route 3 corridor and away from the 601 or Flat Run Road area. We do have several gate strikes due to tailgating in this area, and this is where a vehicle is attempting to follow another member at close proximity through the gate system. The problem, this is not designed for tailgating. The gate will actually come down and hit the tailing vehicle. With the camera systems in the area, we do catch most of this activity. The ones we don't catch, it actually costs the homeowner $1,500 to $2,000 every time we have to repair the system back here. So it's very important to give your guests the 102 Lakeview address, get them off the 601 corridor and up to the Route 3 corridor so they can use the main entrance guests. This is a members-only area. Thanks for staying safe and enjoy your life around the lake.
This is Keep Keith in Mind, Keith Neely from Century 21 Redwood. We love Channel 18 and Life Around the Lake.
Another Meet Your Neighbor. This is Norm Allen with you from right here on TV 18, Life Around the Lake. When's the last time you read a really good novel? I mean, really a spine tingler, chase the bad guys, and who knows what's going to happen until you get to the last page? Well, we're going to meet a lady today, Melinda Crocker, who is one of our friends here at the lake, and she's written some wonderful books and got a brand new one coming out. We're going to talk about those books in a little while, but first I want to thank you for taking the time to be with us.
You're welcome.
You know, we do live around a lot of interesting people, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And the way we met was kind of interesting too.
Yes, it was, through music.
It was all music, yeah, the fairways.
One of my favorite things, music. Well,
good friends. We're good friends of yours, and we all met, and now we've all become good friends. And it's kind of what life is around the lake. It's so exciting. But you haven't been here for how many years? Have you been at the lake?
3 years, just a little over 3 years. Mm-hmm.
But your story is much broader than that. You go back to you and I have similar roots.
We do.
All the way back to
Texas. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. Was born on the Oklahoma-Texas border and moved to Fort Worth when I was a baby. And lived there until I was in my early 20s.
So Cowtown.
Cowtown.
Were you a cowgirl?
No. I was more of I'd say a baby hippie.
Yeah, because what's the era we grew up in?
Exactly. Graduated in 1970 from high school.
So all of the things that happened as we were growing, because you and I are the same age, but as we were growing up in Texas, what kind of influences do you think it had on the rest of your life?
It's a good influence. It was a good place to grow up. My parents were wonderful parents, mm-hmm. and actually they were a little rebellious for the era because they taught me not to have racism or to have good values, but a lot of consideration for the other person.
Well, we were raised in an era, too, when those transitions were happening
exactly.
in the country.
Exactly. That's what our parents fought in the war for, World War II, is a lot of those same values.
So, and you have a brother?
I have two older brothers. One is in California, and he's retired from the government, and the other is an architect, and he lives in Madison, Wisconsin.
Do you get to see your family very often?
Not often enough, but we stay in touch. Actually, my brother does the artwork for my covers for my book. So, and he's done a lot of the paintings around my house.
Oh, how nice.
Yeah, he's very talented.
You have part of his personality with you all the time.
I do. I do.
So growing up in a household, now you said you were in Fort Worth. Were you suburban, more of a suburban life?
More suburban. I think I'm pretty much always been a little bit of suburban, a little like Lake of the Woods, removed but close to all the benefits of a city.
What drove you to writing?
I think I've always written since as long as I can remember. Now, I didn't start completing books until I was in my 30s. It was more short stories before then, back on the old Corolla typewriters. But I've just been published within the last, 5 years.
And the books have done well?
Relatively well. This one is the only one that's been out. This one's been out a year. This one is the proof copy. It's coming out September 1st. So I've got a fan base that seems to really like them.
And we can find that at melindacrocker.com?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll put that on the screen for you so you can be sure and look that up because you'll want to pick up the books. In growing up in you said a pretty stable, happy family?
Very.
Gosh, there's no drama there, is there?
Well, I had always had a Nancy Drew or a Hardy Boys or one of those tucked into my textbook. I was a voracious reader, and I always enjoyed the mysteries and that side.
Wow. And where did you go to school?
In Fort Worth, I graduated from Pascal High School.
And then on to college?
Junior college, and then the School of Life.
The School of Life. Well, let's get into that a little bit. So, do you remember the day you left home?
I do. Was right after the summer after I graduated from high school. Myself and my 3 best friends all got an apartment, and we had jobs, and we're going to college, and it was an interesting time.
Well, coming from a good family and a good stable family, how difficult was that for you? Did you see your life changing drastically because of that?
No, because I was always pretty close to my parents.
Oh, so you got to stay home and see them fairly often?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Very encouraging?
Yeah, very much so.
What was your first job you ever had?
Oh, gosh. Senior in high school, I worked in the medical field for about the first 10 years of my life. Hospital, that sort of thing, both front and back office.
So, but it wasn't a nursing profession?
No,
it was mostly administrative?
Administrative and medical assistant and that sort of thing.
Did you like that?
I did. It was interesting at the time.
Do you find that some of those experiences with some of the people that you may have worked with appear in your characters?
Absolutely. Throughout my life, I've been a people watcher.
A people watcher. What kind of person grabbed your attention?
I like contradictions. The person that looks like they might be scary, but they've got a heart of gold, and the person that looks wonderful, but there's a lot of stuff lurking under the surface. So,
that's a pretty wide parameter.
It is. I like contradictions.
Contradictions. That's interesting.
It makes for interesting characters.
Wow, where do I go with that? Well, we're all contradictions in our own ways. We are.
That is absolutely true.
You, as you have. Well, as you got through school and you're working in the medical field and all of that, and you began to have a family there?
Yes, and I moved to New Mexico.
Yeah, New Mexico.
Yeah, and that was kind of where Texans went for vacation, ski vacations, and I liked it so much I moved there, as did my parents. So,
well, coming from Fort Worth, it's relatively flat.
True, that is true.
That part of the state, and then going. Now, what part of New Mexico?
Ruidosa, and
ski resort,
and horse races, and it was. I think in town was 7,000 feet, and the ski area was the base was like 12,000 feet. So it was very different.
In moving to the mountains, though, from Texas, were you involved in the tourist industry in any way? Did you
No.
Your first jobs there?
My first jobs there were administrative assistant and worked for an insurance agency. Always secretarial, that sort of thing. After that,
just steady as she goes.
Yeah. kind of a tumbleweed. But my husband was a teacher, and so he was the stability, the job, and I changed around a little bit.
And this was an era when a lot of women didn't work in those days too, so it just
That's
kind of
true.
shared career kind of
yeah,
thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
then your daughter came along.
Then my daughter came along, and she had a very good childhood in the mountains. They had ski school day once a week, where they would pick them up with a bus and take them to the ski area, and they learned to ski, and it was a nice atmosphere for a child to grow up.
Skiing.
Yep.
I guess Texans do snow ski, but you have to go someplace else to do it, just not in Texas,
Exactly.
Right? That's interesting. And your daughter, was she the same kind of person that you were? Do you see the same?
A lot of the same as myself and my husband. Adventurous and curious about the world.
But she's also very confident too, isn't she?
Mm-hmm. She is.
Now let's talk about her a little bit. Now she owns a business in Washington.
She does actually. She was with the FBI. She was with VICAP, Violent Crime, and then she went into training and development with the FBI, and from there she created her own business. And it's actually run out of her home now, but she travels all over the country and internationally with her business. She does training and development for corporations, and she has a book called Quit Bleeping Around, and that is what a lot of her seminars are on.
So I know you're proud of her. I can hear that in your voice.
Very much so.
All right. Do you get to participate in any of that stuff with her?
I edit for her, and she edits for me. So it's an exchange of workload.
When do you remember making the decision? I love to write, but I'm going to make it a profession?
When I retired, because I really didn't have time until after I retired.
And you retired from the medical?
Actually. It's a long story. Okay. We went from New Mexico to California, Southern California, and I was with actually a hotel industry there. But my husband became a principal, and then he passed away after a few years, and so his retirement is my retirement. And then from there I moved to Virginia.
Right here to Lake of the Woods.
Right here to Lake of the Woods.
And what brought you here?
My daughter had moved here to be with the FBI.
But it wasn't to the lake, though, right?
No, she actually was in Fredericksburg at the time. And when I moved here, my two grandchildren were younger, and so I helped her with the children. And then as they were high school age, she moved to Alexandria. And then that's a little bit after that is when I moved to the lake.
And you picked this place, why?
My best friends lived here, and I was playing tennis with the ladies here. It's a very nice group of people here. Mm-hmm. The tennis group is very welcoming.
A sidebar, have you taken up pickleball yet?
No, I have not.
Seems like that's a real trendy thing these days. It is.
It's supposed to be good for if you have injuries, because you cover less ground than a full tennis court, but to do both is difficult, and I'm still playing regular tennis. So.
After knee replacement also?
Well, I start back this month. It's been 7 months since I back this month. Mm-hmm.
So now you've decided to move to Lake of the Woods. You have you have a lot of good friends here, but you had two friends who kind of coerced you to come this direction.
Well, they invited me. I won't say my arm was twisted, but...
Yeah. What do you find that's the most exciting thing about living here?
It actually reminds me of the mountain community I lived in because of the people. Mm-hmm. The people are very easy to get to know. They're good people. They take care of each other, and everybody runs into each other eventually and becomes acquaintances or friends.
Do you think that Texas personality and heritage, that's something that we look for, that we look for people rather than things?
Possibly so.
I think that's something we were taught, though, from our culture, don't you?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
That was especially important to my parents.
Create relationships. And that's what the lake is. It's not about, I mean, there are things to do, and that's fun, but it's really about the relationships you have with other people.
Absolutely. And no judgments.
No judgments?
Yeah.
I haven't been to a board meeting lately, have you?
Well,
no offense, guys.
As far as the shack and the mansion, that's...
Yeah, people are, they've already lived in that somewhere else.
Exactly.
They came here. When you get through the gate, we're all the same.
Exactly. That's when I refer to judgments, it's more like that, not politics.
Well, there is politics too around here, and it's affecting all of us more and more.
Exactly.
Now we're going to start writing books. Suddenly you decide you've been talking about, it's been a hobby of writing, kind of keeping notes and journals. You probably have all that stuff through the years.
Well, I wrote, usually what I have written has been fiction. Started out with poetry, and then I went right into fiction. And actually, like I was saying, my first book I started writing when I was in my 30s. The one I published is my third book.
This book is the
third one I've written. But
what about the other two?
They weren't quite ready for prime time. So this one was the first one.
Part of your learning curve?
Hopefully a writer wants to get better with each book.
Sure.
And I feel like I have. So this one was the first one I felt like qualified to be out there. And the response, I've gotten some wonderful reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. And then this one I have just finishing, and I've got a group that has been badgering me to get it out. So it's going to be released September 1st.
Of 2017?
Yes.
Right. Where do you get storylines?
Oh, they're in my head all the time. I'm a voracious reader, and I also love movies. And my reviews always say, this reads like a movie. And that's because they're running in my head.
Love your pictures. Well, that's kind of interesting because your life has been pretty well right down the line and everything's kind of gone so smooth. And then to have murder mysteries and thrillers coming out, there's the other side of you, right?
True. Yes. There's always more beneath the surface.
The dichotomy. Finding storylines. Do you find yourself being, well, you just answered the question actually, because good writers are always good readers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I'm editing and when I'm writing, I try to always read one of my favorite authors. I always try to get a couple of the books and read just to give me inspiration. I
do the same thing with music as I write songs.
Yeah.
I'll listen to somebody and they'll give me a push toward it.
Right.
Who are your favorite writers?
Oh, I was afraid you were going to.
You were asked?
Because I'm not very good with it. I can tell you the plots and the stories and the books, but not always the author, and that's not very good for an author to say, is it? I love Ridley Pearson and a lot of... I liked Patricia Cornwell's early books, not so much her later books. Patterson's, a lot of his, even some sci-fi.
John Ingram is my favorite writer.
Oh, okay.
I like that style of sword.
Yeah.
Like, so what? No, but that's the truth. That good writers have to be voracious readers.
Yes.
You learn how to write by reading.
Right. In writers' conferences, and so much is available online now. You can take classes in grammar and structure and whatever you need. It's online. You just Google it, and it's really wonderful.
What happens when, let's say you've got your storyline idea, what's the process till it gets to here?
Each writer's different. Some work with an outline, some do not. I like to do an outline. And then from the outline, of course it can change, but you have your basics. And then my big thing is character development. And so I choose my characters, and I'm very visual. So I will take movie stars, and I will get their picture and put my story with their picture. So that, and I'll even give them birth dates and complete backstories, whether I use it all or not, so they'll be very three-dimensional. And then once I have my main characters, I create the side characters, and then I weave them into the story.
Do you have a lot of characters in your books?
No, I think that gets confusing if you have too many. So I'll have like no more than 4 or 5 main characters, 2 primary characters, and no more than about 5, and then a few colorful side characters.
Sure. On the settings for your books, are they all places that you've lived before?
This one was the first one that came out last year. Was based in a mountain town not unlike where I lived. The second one, no, it's in a tropical climate in South America,
wow,
which I have not been to. I have been to the Caribbean and in rainforest, but not this particular one, fictitious place. But I was able to Google complete videos, everything you want to know about the terrain, to get the feel for it. You can watch the videos, and that's how I did that.
So, oh wow! So your research is all computer.
Mostly.
You've gotten to that point.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a good excuse to go to South America?
Absolutely. I am thinking about it.
Any ideas for the next book after this one?
I've been having a lot. I've done several book clubs, and the main thing they keep asking me, like on this one, sequel, please, sequel. And once I'm through with the book, I don't really want to go back. But I've gotten so many requests that I may go ahead and do a sequel involving possibly characters from both books.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I've thought of a story that could involve characters from both books.
Well, liking to draw or make pictures with words, as you do in here, have you thought about, I'm sure you have thought about writing screenplays?
Oh, yes, but that's such a different technique. I actually have that on my bucket list to take a screenplay class.
But there's some excellent software.
Right, I have some. I have some, but it is very different than writing prose for a...
You'd write a treatment first, which is easy.
Exactly.
And then ready to go from there. Fantastic. Where has summer gone?
Summer's a girl.
Summer is a girl. So if I were to pick a page, any page, am I going to find good stuff?
You are going to find good stuff, but it's better if you go on the journey from the beginning and go through, because the momentum builds.
Will I anticipate the ending?
No, not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
The same in the other. There's usually a few twists.
Does everything work out in the end?
Pretty much, and that is the one thing that I know a lot of serious writers don't like it to work out in the end. But I have a desire for a nice ending. Not perfect, but nice. And I would never kill off a character that you really like.
Is your life parallel to that?
How do you mean?
You expect a happy ending.
It's always hoped for. And you can always find the bright side, even when it's not so happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I made a statement one time. I was doing a teaching with a group of people, and I said, you know why there are ditches on both sides of the road?
Why?
To show you where the middle is.
I like that.
And that's a good storyline. And characters do that, don't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And do they grow and develop as the book wears on?
It's important, I think.
You get to know them better?
You get to know them better, and that was one of the things I learned in my writers' conferences, is it's important to have the character arc and to show what they've learned through their journey, because their journey's not always easy.
Now, you meet with several groups and you do some public speaking and presentations about writing?
Some. That's not my favorite part of doing it. I really love writing the stories, but it's a very necessary part. Especially now.
What about your writers group? Let's talk. There is a writers group here at Lake of the Woods.
Actually, there's several, but the one at the Lake of the Woods is the one I'm most involved in, and it's the Lake Authors. And actually, we're about to come out with an anthology. I did not participate in it, other than, you know, I won't say advice. I would say voting on different covers, etc. But it's we have such a diverse group of authors: children's books, historical fiction, murder mysteries, and suspense thrillers. And several authors have written chapters in this book, and so it's going to be a real nice
short story collection.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It'll have everything in it.
Exactly, and the theme is holidays.
Oh.
So each story is like around Halloween or Christmas or different holidays.
Well, I know what I would write my story about if it was holidays.
What would that be?
Texas Independence Day.
Oh, there you go.
March the 2nd. Listen, the only reason God gave us Texas is because He's still building heaven. I just want you to know that.
Oh, okay.
I certainly haven't lost mine, have I?
No.
Well, this has been a great conversation and a great visit with you, Melinda. It's been good. The books are Where Has Summer Gone, and these are available on Amazon.
Amazon, and we have several festivals coming up too.
Okay,
where we're going to sell our
we can talk about that a little bit.
Our books.
I see in September there's one in Fredericksburg, Festival of the Books. It's going to be on September the 23rd.
Right. And the one here in the Lake of the Woods, it's the Lovac. It's arts and crafts, but the authors are bringing their books there now also.
Awesome.
And that's going to be in the community center this year instead of at the main clubhouse.
That'll be September the 16th. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
That's easy for me to remember because of the 15th.
Right.
We'll plug all of our stuff right
there.
There
You go.
Yeah. And then there's one September 23rd, the Fredericksburg Festival of the Book, and then December of 2017, Chris Kendall.
I never can pronounce that.
Chris Kendall Mart.
Yeah, it's the Christmas one at the community center.
Right.
And then this
coming up in
actually
October, one in Culpeper. The Culpeper County Library is local author event. So all of these things will be available to you. You'll be able to go online and look at that. I'll put some of these on the screen for you so that you can write those down and check out, because I know you're going to enjoy it.
And I have them on my website also. Any new events coming up. So.
Well, that will be easier. Just go to melindacrocker.com and you'll be able to get all of this information from one source right there. Well, that's very exciting and fun, and I've enjoyed having you as a friend in the short time we've been around each other.
Thank you, and you've added so much to the community with your music and your filming for the Channel 18.
Channel 18.
And if you guys get a chance, come on Wednesday night to the Woods Center, because these guys are great.
We have a good time. We do. So if you see a bunch of strange ladies with salt shakers in their hand, you got to come and you'll know the story what that's all about.
Oh, yes.
And that's always fun.
The Normettes.
The Normettes, the table of the Normettes. It's wonderful. Well, again, I thank you for taking the time and sharing your story with us. I feel like I've gotten to know you a little better, and I'm looking forward to reading your book. I'm anxious to read that.
Thank you.
And I will. I'm not a fiction reader, but I'm going to read yours.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
We want to thank you also for being with us on another Meet Your Neighbor. I'd like to remind you that if you have a story to tell and you have friends around that have a story to tell, we'd love to tell it right here on the same show on Meet the Neighbor or Meet Your Neighbor. In the meantime, I thank Melinda for being a part of it today, and I thank all of you for taking the time and just visiting with us on this wonderful day on TV 18 Life Around the Lake. In the meantime, this is Norm Allen. I'll see you again soon, right here on Meet Your Neighbor, where the stories all about.
This is Michael from Red, White, Blue, and Brew, your neighborhood shop for beer, wine, and cheese. We love TV 18 and Life Around the Lake.